Just say it. Hello, good early afternoon. We are live here at Wisdom Harbor Studios, the Wharf in Orange Beach, Alabama. It is raining cats and dogs. You know how I know that? I just stepped in a poodle. That's a joke. I remember from when I was in the third grade. But it is raining. And I'm Andy Andrews. You are here with us on the Blue Plate Special. It's a great day here to be just kind of easing back in the studio, and Matt over here with me, and Austin and SB are in the back, and I'm excited to be talking to you. I'm going to read you a story today. It seems like a story reading day. I'm going to tell you about a new book I just got last night, but then I'm going to read you a story I wrote a long time ago. I think you're going to like it. Hi, Patricia Clapp. You know, yours is always the first name I see. Are you just like always on Facebook? Hey, Mark Lowry. Mark, you're going to love this thing that I do today, I think. You know, there are some people that you think about when you write. There are some people you think about when you perform certain things or do certain things. And Mark is one of those people that I think about when I am getting ready to deliver a piece. I think that Mark is one of the greatest performers and the greatest discerners of the right way to do something or the right timing to have. Hey, Wes Hampton, this is one of the most beautiful voices in the history of the world, not just in the world now, but in the history of the world. I think of Jimmy Yeary a lot when I write, and so hey, if you have man, I'm thinking so much about what I'm going to do today. I can't think to tell you to click the notification button. So I think that's what I was going to say, is to click that notification button there so that you know when we're live. And please go ahead and share this. Give your friends and family the opportunity to join us. You know, sometimes we have serious stuff we talk about. Sometimes we learn. Sometimes we just laugh. And so far we haven't spent like 30 or 40 minutes just being sad, and we probably won't. And there's probably enough of that, enough things. You can watch the news if you want to be sad. But this 12:15 thing with lunchtime learning and laughter seems to touch people in a certain way, and we're very glad you're there. And so if you don't mind sharing to your friends and family, just over on the right, I think if you're on Facebook, you'll see a share button, and then it unfolds a little thing, and if you look all the way down, it says share to my page. And so you can click that and then post, and it will, you know, what you're seeing will go live on your page, and your friends and family can join us, and hopefully it can create some awesome conversations between you, your friends, and your family. And also, if you happen to be watching us on YouTube, if you could click that subscribe button, cost you nothing, make me easy to find in the future, and would really help me a lot. I also want to mention a couple of things that we're doing. I don't know if you're aware that after these Blue Plate Specials, when we hit some kind of a high note, when we do something that's either extraordinarily silly or extraordinarily memorable that people comment on, Matt will take it out. He'll take that part out. You can still watch the complete episode, but then he'll make a little piece of that. And he has done that with the Dottie West story, where I talked about knocking her on the floor as her opening act. He talked about the disaster. He did one on the disaster on Nashville Now. He has done one with my Delmar haircut. And so there have been several of them, and he will continue to do those for you. And another thing that we're doing is the Professional Noticer, the podcast, that we just crossed 100 episodes. I think, is this week 101 that's out? And 101 just came out this morning at 3:15. in California, and that was 101. And starting with 101, they are not just podcasts. I mean, they're always podcasts, but we are doing them. We're just videotaping the whole experience and posting it so you can see it on YouTube. You can watch this podcast happen. And the podcast this week, by the way, was with Kelly Masters, who is the founder of KMM Sports. She is a sports agent, a licensed sports agent, and was the very first woman to ever have a player in the NFL draft. And you really need to watch this or hear this. It's an amazing story about somebody which as early as 2005, and that doesn't seem like that long ago, but in 2005, Kelly, as an attorney, decided she wanted to be a sports agent and, did the study and did the interviews and went and she had to take a test. The NFL Players Association has a test for these to license a sports agent. And so she went to Washington, D.C. to take the test. And you'll hear her tell the story of walking into a room with 300 men and her to take the test. And then after she passed the test and became a licensed sports agent, her first combine, you will hear the story of her walking into the agents meeting, a room with 900 agents and her, 900 men agents and her, and how one of the most famous agents in the world right in front of reporters told her she did not belong. And it's an amazing story. And we also attached a thing that Motrin did on her, a woman of influence, and so it's very cool. ESPN and Sports Illustrated have named Kelly Masters is one of the most influential women in sports business. And so she's on the professional noticer that's out today. Hey, Jimmy Yeary, you have joined just in time. Hey, Judson Perkins, Christina Cochran, you're visiting Gulf Shores from Illinois. Well, ride down to the wharf and look up and you'll see the Wisdom Harbor Studios. It isn't open yet. It will be soon. We're thinking 2 or 3 weeks it's going to be open, and but you'll see where we are right now. Anyway, let's see. Daniel Courtney, hi to you. Edie Ward, hey, thank you for sharing this whole thing, Edie. And Daniel Courtney says, "Is this Sawyerton Springs?" I say, "Yes." I'm going to read you a story from Sawyerton Springs in just a minute, and so I do want to tell you, Jimmy, I'm excited that you're here. Okay, Jimmy Yeary is just an incredible songwriter. I've got a couple of friends that are just awesome songwriters. Anthony Crawford, who has written songs for Kenny Rogers, Dolly Parton, Steve Winwood, toured with Neil Young for years and years. And then Jimmy Yeary. Jimmy is like just slaying it right now in that he has his own songs out. They're coming out as singles right now. You can see Same Water, Different Boat. Go on YouTube and check that out. Same Water, Different Boat. Or, talk to that, whatever that thing is that you can say, hey, play me some Jimmy Yeary, and it will do that. What do you call that thing, Matt? You're not paying attention? That's hard to believe. What is that thing that people talk to? You talk to it, and it plays music. It'll play the music you... Like Alexa? Alexa? Yeah, that's it. You say, Alexa, play Jimmy Yeary, and it will. Hey, Christy. I was looking at the new book, Christy, comes out. Just Jones comes out September 8th, and the picture you took of me is the one that they're using in the back of that book. So it says, photographed by Christy Malray. So anyway, just to let you know. Also, pre-order that book if you haven't ordered it. So Jimmy Yeary has... just a bunch of hits going right now. One that is storming up the charts, the fastest song that Tim McGraw has ever put out, fastest growing song he's ever put out, is called I Called Mama. And it's probably in the top 10 right now. I don't know, 12, 13, 10, somewhere around there, but it's like storming up the charts, fastest growing song Tim McGraw's ever had. So, but Jimmy wrote that, so you need to. Oh, Karen Benefield Rich says that her Alexa just responded to me. Good. And so now she's playing Jimmy Geary. Well, cut her off now and just, so you can hear what we're doing. So Jimmy, as a songwriter, hey, Bob Woodall. Hey, Bob Woodall. I saw you there, buddy. I can't wait till you're in Orange Beach and we can hang out sometime. We'll hang out with like masks and everything. And I've seen your mask. It's a great one. So Jimmy Geary, as a songwriter, I got a book in the mail last night from somebody who has to be one of your heroes. I didn't know the book was even coming out. And I got an early copy. And this book comes out August 7th. And if you like stories, you want this book. I think this is such a perfect book to just read a little bit at a time. As I said, I got this last night. This is called The Music of the Statler Brothers, an anthology. It's written by Don Reed. Don was the lead singer. They've retired now, but Don was the lead singer of the Statler Brothers and wrote 90% of their songs. And so the foreword in this book, I saw immediately, the foreword was by Bill and Gloria Gaither. And so I have read the foreword, I've read the introduction, and I've read the first chapter. And I've kind of thumbed through the rest of it. I love the book. And so Jimmy, you don't buy one because I'm going to buy one for you and send it to you. But man, if you like stories, this lists every song they recorded in a 40-year career and tells the story around when they were recording it, how they wrote it, what really came into Don's mind to write that down, if he got stuck. I just read one quick part where they were recording something and somebody came into the studio and said, we've just been contacted by John Wayne, and John Wayne is in Nashville, and he wants to meet you guys. And it's just the only time in their career that they left the studio while paying for studio time, paying for all the musicians, left and just went right to meet John Wayne. And so there's so many stories in there. But I got to tell you, I love these guys. I love these guys. I love Don Reed. Hey, Brian Backen. Brian, listen to this because we will talk about this weekend. Brian's my next door neighbor. Obviously I was aware of the Statler Brothers for years. I just loved their stuff. From Flowers Under the Wall to what is the song? What is that song? I can't believe I can't think of the name of it, but it's talking about how the Class of '57. That's what it was. The Class of '57 had its dreams. Golly, what a song, man! And Brennan Blair, you would like this book a lot. But I want to get this to Jimmy just because, we talk a lot about writing, and this book has so much heart. I knew who these guys were, obviously, because I love their songs. But then when I started doing Nashville Now, I met them on a Nashville Now show. They were very nice to me. Now, I'm going to tell you what that means in just a minute. And I'm also going to read you a story, so stay with me. But they were very nice to me that night. And then I would go to the Music City News Awards every year. They're in the Opry House. And because I was nominated for Comedian of the Year over and over again, and I never won. But as they say, it was nice to be nominated. It would have been nicer to win, but it was nice. I mean, because I was nominated, I got to go to the show, sit among all the stars, And the one thing that I remember very clearly from those years is that this was a fan-voted award. Okay, there was the Music City News, like an actual magazine, and people would vote. They got one vote, but I remember sitting in that audience and watching, as there were other famous groups. Okay, but vocal group of the year every year, and the winner is the Statler Brothers. Get the Entertainer of the Year every year. I mean, it was like year after every year I was there anyway. It was like year after year after year. The Statler Brothers. And, there's no way you could be aggravated at it because it was like normal people like you and me voting for these guys. And I know now that when people vote for somebody, when people do business with somebody, it's not just the talent. It's not just the job they have done. I talk to corporations all the time and say, your competition is working and trying to build their business with product and price. Well, your product is good. Your price is comparable, but you can just kill them if you're kind to people, if people love you, if people just absolutely are just raving lunatic admirers of you personally and how you treat people and how you live your life and what you do, they will do business with you. That trumps price and product. Well, I saw that in the Statler Brothers. These guys were, I want to tell you, they've got in the back of this book, there is an index. And in the index, it's listing every song. It's listing every person. And I looked in the A's to see if I was listed. I am not. However, I have the greatest credit that I could say about the Statler Brothers of anybody, any of these other people, because this is Johnny Cash in here, and Pat Boone and Bobby Bare, and who I'm just seeing in the Bees, Irving Berlin and Chuck Berry and James Blackwood and Lane Brody, Alfred Brumley. There's just Glenn Campbell. That's not a B, but I clicked over to the C's. President Carter, Johnny Cash, June Carter Cash, Eddie Arnold, Roy Acuff, all these people. I'm not that stature, but I have a better credit than anybody in there. And my endorsement of them is they were nice to me. I was nobody, okay? And so trust me, I tell you funny stories a lot of times about working with people and all, and I could tell you some pretty dark stories of how I was treated as an opening act. But some of these people that I worked with, some of them, and Statler Brothers being right there at the top of the list, they taught me how to treat people. They were such a great example for me on how to treat people, whether they were important or not. And the heart that Harold, Don, Phil, and Lou, and then later Jimmy, the heart that these men had for other people, it outdid their music. It brought the words of their songs home. So I would really urge you to order this book. This I would consider it a personal favor. You can pre-order it right now. The Statler Brothers, an anthology. It's by Don Reed, and I have no idea if Don is watching, but if you are, buddy, thank you for remembering me. And I got the the card in here somewhere that you included, and I appreciate the kind words you said on the card. So there we go. You will love the book. And Judson Perkins, you're absolutely right. The Statler brothers were not all brothers. Don and Harold were brothers. Harold passed away a few months ago, but they were named. They chose their name, and it was a brand of actual Kleenex. That's what it was. So, Statler facial tissues. Isn't that funny? But Johnny Cash just absolutely loved them and really kind of went and stood out there and got them a recording contract. And their first big hit was a song called "Flowers on the Wall." And this song is very odd. It's not country music at all. And in fact, it won like the Grammy for Best Pop Song that year. Sold 1 million singles. It was unbelievable. But if you don't remember that, check out, just Google it or something. Check out "Flowers on the Wall" by the Statler Brothers. And it's just an awesome song. Okay, you want to hear a story? A bunch of years ago, I was writing stories month after month after month after month, and these stories, I don't know where they came from, but I was writing them about a town in which I supposedly grew up. I called it Sawyerton Springs. My grandparents' name was Sawyer. Adam's middle name, Adam Andrews. Adam's middle name is Sawyer. Adam Sawyer Andrews. And so this town became very real to me, and I put real people in it, and I told stories of things that really happened, but I just kind of compressed them into a location. Somebody asked me not too long ago, they said, where did you think about, like when you were thinking about this stuff and you're writing, what are you picturing in your mind? And honestly, I was picturing Dothan, Alabama. I even put, one of the stories has the address that we lived in it, 1505 Randall Road in Dothan, Alabama. And on one end of the road, the street sign was Randall with one L. And on the other end, it was Randall with two L's. True story. But I think about Dothan, Alabama, and this is where I grew up. But I also, it was the first time that I ever wrote about characters that I was learning how to get into their thought processes, trying to think like they would think. You know, it's not as easy as you would imagine to write a female character or to write a character who has a different background than your own. And so it was the first time I had done that. But I've always felt like my writing was a gift. It's nothing I particularly enjoyed at the time, but I kind of knew I had to do it. There was something in me that had to get out. I look back now and I read things that I wrote 25 years ago, and sometimes I'm amazed at what God had going in me at the time to write something that maybe I didn't really understand at the time, and I had to come to understanding the importance of it, maybe, or the real message of it. And you know, it kind of came through me. And so the story I'm going to read you is one of those. I wrote a story about a woman in Sawyerton Springs married to a car dealer named Billy Pat Williams. Her name is Jenny. And the story is about a reaction to anger, getting very, very angry, and then the process of kind of getting over it. And so I want to see what you think about this. And I'll make a couple of comments, and then we'll be through. But Sawyerton Springs, the book is what do you call it? It's out of print, but we have some. And so how much are they, Matt? How many? $11.99. So if you want one of the remaining copies we have, they're $11.99, and you got a link up, I suppose. Okay. All right. So I'm going to read you. This is the picture in the book of Jenny. Okay, it's not a very flattering picture because she is mad. She's very mad. And the name of the story is The Secret War of Jenny Williams. Jenny Williams was mad. In fact, she couldn't remember being quite so mad. It was just after 8 o'clock in the morning, and she already had a headache. Sitting at the breakfast table in her pink bathrobe, she held her coffee cup with both hands to avoid spilling the hot liquid. Jenny was shaking. Jenny was mad. Billy Pat, Jenny's husband, had pulled out of the driveway only moments before. "Don't forget my white shirt," he said as he walked out the door. "I'll need it tomorrow. And I can't meet you for lunch today. Got a meeting with Roger Luker. Anything you need me to do?" She shook her head. "Okay then," he said, oblivious to her growing anger. "I love you." He got in his car and drove away. Jenny didn't answer until Billy Pat was around the corner. "Yeah, right," she said, and went inside. Pouring coffee into her cup and all over the counter, she replayed in her mind exactly what Billy Pat had said. "Don't forget my white shirt." How can I forget it? Jenny thought. You leave it in the middle of the bedroom floor. If I forgot it, I'd trip and break my neck. That's what I should have said. That would have been good. "And why can't you meet me for lunch?" is what I ought to have told him. "Thursday is supposed to be our day for lunch." "Is meatloaf at the cafe once a week too much to ask?" "Yeah, well, you always have a meeting with Roger Luker. I don't care if you have a meeting with the President of the United States. I'm your wife. That's supposed to count for something." "Boy, oh boy," Jenny said out loud. "If he were here, I'd tell him what he could do with that meeting. And the shirt." She pushed her chair back and stood up to begin cleaning away the breakfast dishes. As she balanced the cereal bowls for the move toward the sink, the top one fell, sending a shower of milk and glass all over the kitchen. The word Jenny selected at that moment was not one with which she was totally unfamiliar. In fact, she had grounded her youngest daughter for saying the same thing just last week, but somehow when Jenny said the word, it was satisfying, rolling as it did crisp and clean from her lips. The word also perfectly described her mood. Cleaning up the mess, Jenny tried to remember what else Billy Pat had said. What was it? Her eyes narrowed. She remembered. He had said, "Anything you need me to do?" "Yeah, there's something I need you to do," she thought. "There's quite a few things I need you to do, starting with getting the garbage out on time. Mondays and Thursdays. The garbage goes out Mondays and Thursdays, just like it has around here for the last 500 years. So that's one thing you can do. Remember the garbage. And how about not asking me 20 times what's for supper? I'll cook it, you eat it, okay? Mow the lawn more than once would be a good one, just more than once a month. I mean, that way maybe the neighbors won't think we're growing hay." As Jenny showered and dressed, she knew that what made her most angry was the fact that at that very moment, wherever Billy Pat was, he had no idea she was even upset. In a way, it made her feel better to think of the things she would say if he were standing in front of her. "Lose some weight. How about that, Fatso? Or maybe you're going to start a Sargent Springs sumo wrestling league?" Jenny smiled. That would have gotten him. Billy Pat had gained 15 pounds since Christmas, and he was pretty sensitive about it. "You might stop snoring. That's something you could do. Also, don't mess with the thermostat after I've said it. Quit belching at the table. And for once in your life, could you put the toilet seat down?" The phone rang. It was Glenda Perkins. Could she wanted to know, borrow Jenny's toaster? Glenda was having company and wanted to fix a nice breakfast the next morning. They didn't have a toaster, she explained, because Kevin felt that the oven did an adequate job and he didn't want to spend money on a luxury item like that. Jenny wrapped the electrical cord around the toaster as she walked to her car. She had to deliver the appliance to Glenda because Kevin wouldn't spring for a second car either. Fastening her seatbelt, Jenny said aloud, "At least Billy Pat isn't cheap." As she drove to the Perkins house, she remembered the time she had mentioned to Billy Pat that their bed had been bothering her back. When they went to look at mattresses, he ended up buying her the bedroom suite she'd always wanted. The best wife in the world deserves fine furniture, he had said. She found out later that he used money he had been saving for a fishing boat. Jenny visited with Glenda for a couple hours, then went to lunch alone. Thursday was her day for eating out, and she was determined not to miss it. She did, however, go to Norman's Grosseteria in order to avoid Billy Pat at the cafe. She sat at the corner table and ate macaroni and cheese with a salad. For dessert, she had lime jello. Jenny had spoken to Norman when she arrived, but the place was relatively empty, so there was plenty of time to sit and think. Why do I have to eat alone? She wondered. It's not fair. He's always working, or says he is. Is one lunch a week too much to ask? He doesn't seem to care. Heck, he doesn't even know I'm mad. Jenny thought back to the night, 21 years earlier, when Billy Pat had proposed. He had been 40 minutes late picking her up at the house, and she was furious. She didn't even speak to him till they were in the car. I've been waiting forever, she had said. I'm sorry, he replied. Work, you know. Yeah, I know, she said. All you think about's work. Ever since you got this new job, you live and breathe work. It's gotten to be the most important thing in your life. Suddenly, she remembered Billy Pat had swerved the car to the side of the road and stopped. Now he was mad. Look here, he had told her. It's not the most important thing in my life, but it will allow me to do the most important thing in my life. This afternoon, when I asked your dad if I could marry you, I told him I would take care of you. I don't have a desire to work hard. I have a responsibility. That's different. I love you. This ring is for you. Jenny had listened to him with her mouth open, tears rolling down her cheeks. I love you too, was all she could say. I love you too. Sitting there in Norman's, Jenny wiped her eyes and blew her nose. It's different now, she reasoned. We aren't kids anymore. Billy Pat owns his own business, a very successful one, and he doesn't need to spend the time with it that he does. It is different, isn't it? Jenny paid her check and left. She didn't talk to Norman on the way out. He had seemed kind of touchy earlier when he made a joke about the price war he and Rick Carper had been through. He didn't even smile. I'm glad Billy Pat can take a joke, she thought. Jenny laughed out loud, remembering her husband's picture on the front page of the Sawyerton Springs Sentinel. Billy Pat had shot up their living room with a .22 rifle trying to kill a flying squirrel. It didn't appear that anyone in town would ever forget the incident. Billy Pat had heard enough jokes about Rambo to last a lifetime, but he chuckled at them all. Then there was the time when she and Billy Pat had been playing Scrabble. The score was closed, and the game was coming to an end when Billy Pat stood up and aggressively challenged the word suit. Sue it, he demanded. What kind of word is sue it? That had been years ago, and they still laughed about it. When Jenny got home, she flipped on the television. Soap operas, she grumbled. I hate soap operas. Just the same, she sat down and watched. For the next 3 hours, Jenny counted 34 different people having affairs. As she turned the set off, she was glad that she didn't have that kind of thing to worry about. Billy Pat, she knew, was not that kind of man. Jenny was about to start planning supper when Bonnie Pat, Janine, and Janelle burst through the door. The three teenagers kissed their mother and introduced her to a friend of theirs from school. Jenny recognized the girl as Robert and Cindy Wainwright's daughter. Robert, her father, spent all his time hunting and fishing. Jenny had never seen him with his daughter. I hope our girls know how lucky they are, Jenny thought. Billy Pat's a great dad. Billy Pat had never seemed disappointed that he had no sons. He coached his daughter's softball team, chaperoned their classes on field trips, and as they each turned 15, he insisted on being their first date. Jenny puttered around the kitchen as she remembered Billy Pat giving the girls a corsage and taking them all the way to Foley for dinner. He held the doors as they walked through and even ordered for them at the Shrimp Boat, the nicest restaurant in town. He wanted the girls to expect the best from the boys they would be dating, and Billy Pat wanted to be the standard by which those boys were measured. Lost in her thoughts, Jimmy jumped when the doorbell rang. Opening the front door, she saw the florist truck drive away. There on the porch were a dozen red roses. They must be for Bonnie Pat, she thought. The Henley boy had been sending flowers a lot lately. Bending down to pick up the vase, she saw the envelope attached to the roses. The envelope had her name on it. She brought the roses inside and sat down on the floor next to the couch. With the vase between her knees, Jenny opened the envelope and pulled out the card. In Billy Pat's handwriting, it read, "Lunch today was no fun. Roger is not nearly as pretty as you. I'm lucky to have a wife who's so understanding. I can't wait to see you tonight. I miss you. I love you. Billy Pat." I was right, Jenny thought, as she put the flowers in their bedroom. He didn't even know I was angry. And she was glad. The Secret War of Jenny Williams. There's 27, 28, 30 stories in that book, just like that. I read that one the other day and I thought about how much anger is in the world today and how our imagination can keep that anger afloat. I also thought about how it is possible to forgive and calm down when we have been offended, even if the person that we're mad at doesn't even know they've done anything, or maybe they don't care that they've done anything. But forgiveness doesn't require anyone to deserve our forgiveness. It doesn't require that we be asked for forgiveness. I mean, they don't even have to know that they are being forgiven. Forgiveness is a decision, not an emotion. We treat it like an emotion, which is why it kind of drags us around like a dog on a leash sometimes. But we can make a decision to forgive. Taking up an offense is a dangerous thing. It's fueled by imagination, and only our resolve to take control of our own thinking can allow us to choose not to think a certain way and choose to think a productive way. You know, just last thing, I've considered lately that there's two ways that I do not want to go through life. I don't want to go through life feeling guilty, and I don't want to go through life being mad. And forgiveness is a principle that covers both of those. Thank you for joining us today. I think we'll be back Thursday with another Blue Plate special. Love you all. Thanks.